brought Billy Martin as much success, as much a sense of belonging, and as much happiness as Yankee Stadium. I'm Phil Pepe. Over the years, I covered Billy Martin for the Daily News. Later, I co-authored a book with him, and I got to see a man few others get to see. It was here under Casey Stengel that Billy Martin helped the Yankees win 5 World Championships. And it was here 2 decades later that Billy returned, just as defiant, just as aggressive, just as driven to succeed, to manage the Yankees to still another World Championship. He was a battler who kept coming back for more. He grew up poor in West Berkeley, California, just as tough and just as feisty as his mother. Although barely 5 feet tall, she stood up to anyone. And no matter what kind of scrapes her son got into, she always stood up for Billy. Billy's mother died only days before he did.
I always remembered Billy as a guy that loved his mother very much and showed that kind of affection. And I thought that that was probably the finest quality he had, able to express love for his parent, his mother.
The feisty side of Billy, the side fans would become familiar with, was evident when he first joined the Yankees in 1950. Rookies were supposed to be seen and not heard, but Billy cowered to no one, not even a team full of stars.
When Billy did come up, he was really the cockiest rookie, with one exception, Joe DiMaggio. And Billy Martin really revered Joe DiMaggio, and Joe kind of took Billy under his belt, because don't forget, Billy was only there for 2 years under Joe's playing 50 and 51. 51 was Joe's last year, and I don't know what year Billy had to go back in the service, 51, so he really wasn't, 50 was the year, and then he idolized Joe. I mean, he followed him around like a puppy dog. And one of the great stories about Billy was in 1950 when it was the year I won the Most Valuable Player Award, and we were in Boston, where nobody likes me in Boston anyway, whether when I was a player or a broadcaster. And I had received a death threat. Somebody said, if you make an appearance on the field, you're going to be shot with a high-powered rifle from center field. And so I showed the letter to Casey Stengel. He in turn showed it to the FBI, and they came around. I had bodyguards. I had a dog. I had to take me to the hotel and back after each game. And the first day when we came out, Casey said, well, look, he said, they don't know this kid. We've got this rookie, Billy Martin. He said, I'm going to switch uniform shirts, especially for batting practice and infield practice, right? So Billy, he didn't care. You know, he was cocky as odd, but he put my uniform shirt on. I put his on. And from a distance, you probably couldn't tell. He wasn't that big. He was taller than I, but he wasn't a real big guy. And Billy never stood still once. I mean, he, you know, when you think somebody's going to take a shot, even though 99 times out of 100 that it won't happen. Not one chance. He didn't give a sitting target. If they were going to shoot him, they were going to have to hit him on a dead run when he was moving.
In 1954, Billy was inducted into the Army for his second stint. He barely disguised his displeasure at leaving a team looking for its 6th consecutive World Championship.
I just received my 1A classification today, and I guess I'll be going in the Army in a couple of months. As you know, I was in the Army in 1950, and the Army let me out because I had too many dependents. I have now one more dependent, who is my little daughter, but the funny thing, Jerry Coleman is coming back, and I took Jerry's job because Jerry had to go in the Marines. I guess it's just fate, and it's a wonderful thing to have Jerry come back and take my job, although I'd rather be playing ball if I could.
Billy returned in August of 1955 in time for another pennant drive. Though he was only a .257 lifetime hitter, he always had a knack for delivering in the clutch. Best of all, when it counted most. In 5 World Series, he hit .333, and his 1953 performance still ranks among the great World Series shows. In 6 games, he hit a staggering .500 and collected 12 hits, a record at the time. The World Series also brought out Billy's clutch fielding. His most famous play came in Game 7 of the '52 series, when he miraculously caught up with Jackie Robinson's bases-loaded pop-up that saved the lead and the championship. Such heroics even won praise from the rival Brooklyn Dodgers.
The real great thing of the series is a boy that only hit .250. I think he's the best ball player in the club, Billy Martin.
Praise from Billy's own manager, Casey Stengel, was unabashed. Billy had played for Casey in the minors at Oakland, and it was there that they became close. Stengel had no children. Billy never knew his father. It seemed destined that Casey, a hellraiser himself as a young player, would become a father figure to Billy. Casey once boasted of his second baseman. "He's my best clutch hitter and the best double play man in the league." While Casey was Billy's mentor, Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford were his constant companions. The trio had fame and success, and for a couple of years, their late-night romps in New York were the stuff of clubhouse legends.
Billy and I, for some reason, hit it off pretty good. I think probably after the first workout, he was in the next locker to me, and I said, "Do you drink beer, Billy?" And he said, "Yes." So we went and had a beer, and we hit it off pretty good.
We used to tease each other about whose liver was going to go first, mine or his. With Billy, all of a sudden it just happens, and you're not quite ready for it, you know.
We had come back to the Kenmore Hotel in Boston a little late one night. The curfew it was a day game, so the curfew was probably 12 o'clock. Usually after a night game, it was like 1:30. But I think this was after a day game. And the three of us come back a little after 12, and we started to walk into the lobby, and there was Casey standing in the lobby with about 6 or 8 sports writers from New York and Boston. And there was no way we could get to the elevator without him seeing us and, you know, possibly finding us if he did catch us. So we walked out of the hotel, we went around to the alleyway on the side of the hotel, and there was there was a window to get into the hotel and get into one of the hallways and then on the elevator bypassing the lobby. And so we boosted Billy up first, up into the window. He got in, and then Mickey boosted me up, and I got into the window. And we just left Mickey there in the alleyway to fend for himself.
The trio broke up in 1957. They'd been involved in a brawl at the Copacabana nightclub, and Billy was exiled to Kansas City. He ended his career in relative obscurity, playing for the Athletics, Indians, Reds, Braves, Tigers, and Twins. But he still had his moments. Sometimes he needed an escort to leave the stadium. But in 1969, Billy found new life with his first managing job. He had immediate success. He took the Twins and Tigers to division titles, and he later turned around the Texas Rangers and Oakland A's. However, it was in 1975 that Billy got his dream job, managing the New York Yankees.
I think as managers go that I've seen in 17 years of baseball, as being an owner, I've never met a guy any better, just off the top of his head, out of his hip pocket, at knowing what to do and how to put the pressure on the other team. He was a tremendously imaginative and innovative manager. He always seemed to be able to anticipate what to do. He was absolutely the best in the business. He could take a group of young players, tremendous evaluator of young talent, tremendous molder of young talent. On balance, there'll be a long time before there'll be another Billy Martin.
He was tough, and he made the plays that had to be played. He got the hit that had to be. He was a ball player. He wasn't a great like a Joe DiMaggio at his time or Mickey Mantle, but he made the plays, and he got key hits. He was a spark plug of the team.
He's a typical New Yorker, scrapper, and he's fighting for his own rights, you know. And he wasn't afraid to stand up no matter who it was.
He really rallied the team. When he was in the dugout, boy, waiting to get on base something, he'd get the whole team going.
That hard-nosed quality about him, that feistiness, which I think just appealed to people here in New York. He really, he epitomized New York style, and he was a winner.
Probably ever in baseball.
Billy Martin as a manager was excellent, and it's proven in his record. Everywhere he went, he had a winner.
I thought he was a great tactical manager, no question about it. Nobody wanted to win or would do anything to win the way he would. The Pine Tar incident's a perfect example. You know, he knew a week before that George Brett's bat was illegal, but he waited until there was a chance to win a game before he brought it up to the umpires.
There was a darker side to Billy Martin. There were the fights with Clint Courtney, Jim Brewer, and Tommy Lasorda when he was a player. His teammates, Eddie Lopat and Phil Rizzuto, remember Billy the Battler.
Oh, he didn't antagonize other players. In fact, we got a few fights along the line with that. And he got into 2 or 3 fights, a couple with Clint Courtney and one with Pearsall and in the dugout, and a couple others, I don't even remember now who it was, but so we got to kid him about it one day. We said, hey, you can't fight your way through this league. You got to play your way, you know. So we told him to ease off a little bit.
The great story about Billy, which I've told and it's been told a lot of times, is he was traded away because he was supposed to be a bad influence. But he roomed with me in 1950, his first year coming up. And Billy was, I mean, was a great roommate in the sense that he kept you loose. One of the most naturally funny men I've ever met. He and Mickey Mantle, that's why they got along so well. They were really clever. No script writer. And they hardly thought of these things as unbelievable. But, and Billy talked nothing but baseball in the room. Now, at a certain hour, Billy and I would part company, because then I wouldn't see him till the next day half the time, even though we were roommates. You know, he loved to go out, and he was like Peppertone. He was a night person. He loved to go out and have a good time. But he roomed with me. I won the MVP. He roomed with Yogi one year. He won the MVP. And he roomed with Mantle one year. Won the MVP. And he'd say, "How can I be a bad influence if you know that's what these guys do so well?" And of course, he got blamed for that Copacabana incident.
Billy's playing days ended, but his fights didn't. As a manager, there were the battles with his players, Dave Boswell and Ed Woodson. Later, there was the incident in a Texas nightclub. And there was the fight with a marshmallow salesman in Minnesota. And there was the famous confrontation in the dugout with Reggie Jackson in 1977.
Oh, look at this. Look at Billy. Is he hot? And Reggie has done that on several balls hit to right field. Look at Elston getting between. He wants to make sure there are no blows struck down there. Billy is really upset.
That may be the first time I've ever seen that happen in a dugout. Between a manager and a player. Billy wants to get at Reggie. And he's being restrained by, that's in full view of the crowd, being restrained by Yogi Berra and Elston Howard. Elston Howard has his man. Billy gets around, but now Yogi's got him and trying to wrestle him down.
Yogi's got him.
The guys that he helped were guys who really, and the guys who had their best years were sort of people who came from the same background as Billy came from. If you find a player who didn't come from that background, who might have come from a little, what we might call a higher social level, or felt that he let Billy know that he felt he might be a little bit better than Billy, then he had trouble with that player. And you know who those players are. Reggie Jackson, first of all, comes to mind.
I had differences with him, and who knows what they were about. Doesn't make any difference what caused them. I went about winning one way, he went about it another way, but we were after a common goal, which was winning. He was hell-bent for leather all the time with, I think, whatever he did. As a manager, I think Billy was a nice guy. I think he was a lot sweeter than people think. I don't think he was the bad, big, bad, tough guy, the little, big, bad, tough guy, however you want to phrase it, that was projected about him. This guy was really kind of a sensitive, caring guy.
There never was much in between with Billy. It seemed that players were either for him or against him.
For me, the thing about Billy is that you have that confidence on a club that Billy's not going to make mistakes on the field. And another thing, for a young player myself, Billy's the manager that brought me up to the big leagues when I shouldn't have made the club, supposedly. And he knows talent, and you appreciate it as a player. A lot of the things that are talked about Billy is Billy and George's fights are Billy off the field. And I think the thing that's not mentioned enough is the kind of job that Billy does on the field. And that's what the players appreciate.
I had my differences with him, as a player. I didn't really, understand some of the things he did with me until after I got out of the game and started managing.
It was off-the-field comments in 1978 that marked one of Billy's darkest episodes with the Yankees. In the midst of that controversial season, Billy's long-standing battle with Reggie Jackson came to a head. And a week later, Billy resigned.
I would like to thank the Yankee management, the press, the news media, my coaches, my players, and most of all,
That was just the beginning of Billy's tumultuous tenure as Yankee manager. He would be hired and fired 4 more times. The most dramatic return came only days after his first departure, when it was announced on Old Timers Day. The news brought down the house. These were the best of times for Billy. He would still get fighting mad and lose control, but he was home with the Yankees, and all he wanted was to win. When Billy Martin died on Christmas Day of 1989, a void was left in the hearts of many Yankee fans, as well as in the heart of the man who brought Billy back to pinstripes.
When they called me that night, I was so sick I couldn't talk. I really was. I haven't been affected like that by anybody but when my father passed away. Billy and I were very close, and he came to me in times of need, and I was there for him. And at other times, when I came to him in times of need to manage for me or to come down to Tampa and do a show for a bunch of underprivileged kids, he took the time out right in the middle of Christmas to come down there. He was like a part of my family. I truly meant it. I mean, he'd been with me and always with me, even though he was in and out of the managerial job a lot. But he was with me for life, and he knew how I felt about him, and it was a mutual feeling, I think, and I will miss him dearly.
Billy Martin didn't always enjoy a great relationship with many members of the media. Some of it was his fault, some of it wasn't. See, he just couldn't sit there and explain why his team lost a very tough game. He wasn't a very good loser, which I suppose is why he was a winner. Billy once told me that something happened to him once he put on the uniform. He became a different person. He didn't like the way he was, but he couldn't help it. And that different person was not always gracious, and it was not always charming. But that different person was a winner. And to Billy, winning was the end that justifies the means.
When you're in the public spotlight, people are going to start to look at you, and they start to follow your every move, and you have to almost wonder how much of this has been overblown.
It was great for the press. Like Donald Trump, the press loves that. I don't think I'm mad at him. I have a lot of problems off the field myself. So, but it didn't affect his baseball. He was a brilliant baseball man.
People always blame 1978 on the fact that Martin got fired, and then the peace and serenity of Bob Lemon came in and won the pennant in the World Series. I say, forget, it was Martin's team that won the pennant in the World Series, and it was the newspaper strike that let them win the pennant in the World Series. It had nothing to do with Martin being fired.
Streets of Berkeley, California, but he was at home on the sidewalks of New York. He belonged to New York, and to legions of Yankees fans, he always will be #1. I may not have been the greatest Yankee, he once said, but I am the proudest.